My name is Melisa. I'm an ESL teacher, and today I wanted to talk about the value of using a textbook. This is as opposed to having all your lessons on the board and the students write them in notebooks, and opposed to teaching with handouts. Now, this is an issue also at the school where I teach, Hawaii Literacy's Drop-In Center, because we do have a textbook, which is awesome, the Oxford Picture Dictionary. Highly recommend, and I will tell you why shortly, but we do have a textbook, but not all teachers use the textbook. Now, there are many reasons why teachers don't all use the textbook, but I found a couple underlying reasons are that the teachers don't want to teach from the textbook, they have other interests, so they want to teach something else. So they go on the internet, they print out handouts, and they copy them for the students and they pass it out. Now, in my school is a nonprofit, it's free school, the volunteers are not getting paid, so for me, it's okay because I think it's great they're teaching English for free and that they're so motivated that they would go and get handouts. So that's one reason why books aren't always used in all the classes at the school, even though we do have a textbook. Now, the other reason that books aren't used is because the students don't bring their books to school, and then the teacher decides, when some students don't bring the books, the teacher decides, oh, since some students don't have the book, I'm going to teach maybe on the board. Instead of using the book, I'll put everything on the board, and then the students without the books won't feel left out. Now, if you do that too long, then all the students are going to stop bringing their books. If you put everything on the board, what's the point of having the book? Okay? And that happened on some other classes. So I have some teachers who teach what they want. They just want to teach it. They're very good at finding handouts. They enjoy it. That's fine. The other teachers, they don't teach from the book because the students aren't bringing the book, and they want to be able to teach every student who comes whether they have the book or not. And sometimes there are new students that come without the book, and so they want to accommodate everyone, so they don't teach from the book. They teach from notes on the board and handouts. Okay, now, we're all teaching at the same school, but I always use a book, and my students, for the most part, they bring their book. If they don't bring a book, they can share a book, and if they're a new student, they share a book. I've never really had problems with bringing books to class. Now, why is it different between the teachers? Well, obviously the one that chooses not to use it, chooses not to use it. That's fine. The ones that cannot get their students to use it, bring it, and then they start teaching on the board. They've actually created the means for the students to not bring their books. Now, why would students not bring their books? Well, if the teacher is not teaching from the book, why should a student bring the book, right? And if the teacher is teaching everything they wrote on the board, just bring a notebook and write it down. Yes? Okay. So, this inherently ties into the importance of the book. Do you as a teacher feel the book is important? Now, if you don't use it. Alright? It's like my teachers using the handouts. That's fine. If you think the book is useful, then use it to the fullest extent. Okay? Value it. Use it. If it's valuable enough to use it, then value it and use it. Use it. Okay? So this is how I get the students to bring their books to school. I always teach from the book. I don't care if they have a book or don't have a book. If they're a new student, I let them share. I never have so many new students that they outnumber old students, so that's not a problem. So everybody shares a book, or if they cannot share a book, then they buy a book. If they cannot buy a book, they cannot share a book, there's no books, then they just have to sit there and do their best, and there's nothing I can do about it. Usually there's enough books for everyone to share. It's very rare that that happens, but if it happens, it happens. And the student has a choice. They can buy the book, or they can, risk having it happen to them again, and that's fine with me. I don't mind. But the main point for this book, if you want the students to bring the book, use the book every day. That's how you get students to use the book. And that's how you get, if they want to buy the book, that's how they're going to buy the books. They know if they don't get the book, they can't learn the material. Now, that's one thing. Always use the book consistently. As many of us, maybe who have taken classes know, sometimes a teacher will make you buy books and then you don't use all the books they ask you to buy, and you're like, why did you ask me to buy this book? I have this book, we didn't use it in class. You get frustrated. Don't do that to your students. If you ask them to buy a book, use the book and use it extensively. Alright? Now, you have to realize student resources, students' willingness or ability to pay, which are two different things. But the reason we use this book too is also that it's $17, 17 US dollars, which is not expensive. It's affordable for most people. And even if they can't buy it the first day, they can save up $17 and buy the book. It doesn't take that long. And we have a lot of lower income students, and they can all buy the book. We did have some issues occasionally. Some students, very, very low income. If they're very, very low income and it's a real issue, then maybe you can work out a special arrangement. But I don't think I've ever given away books. They've all bought, everyone who's come to my school has bought the book. So it's definitely, students will have the money to buy this book. Now this book is a grammar book. We use this too sometimes, but we actually make handouts from this book. We don't have students buy it. Now why? This book is awesome too. These two books are both awesome. In fact, if I could, I would have every student have these two books and the workbook for this book and bring them to class every day. Now why don't I? This is heavy, right? And then you have another book on top of this. It's very heavy. And the adults that come to my school, they're retirees, they're all older. It's kind of a burden. Now, that said, I could still make them bring all these books. The real issue though is that this book costs $50, over $50. This book costs $17. And guess what? Vocabulary is much more useful for our students than grammar. And if we have this book, we can still teach them grammar, right? But this is the main book. Now I'm very, very happy that this main book is only $17. So there are very many issues when choosing a textbook. You want it to be affordable to your students. You want it to be really useful, something that you believe in and that you're going to use most of the time. And if you do pick a good textbook and you have a good textbook, you're so lucky, because good textbooks are wonderful. They do a lot of the work for you. This book has an awesome teacher's manual, although they haven't updated yet, so it's actually the older version of the book. But that teacher's manual is really good, and I still use it sometimes when teaching this book. And if they have a great teacher's manual, oh, it's so wonderful. You can just walk into class and teach and not prepare anything sometimes.